All right, what is going on, guys? We are back for another episode of the Chasing Waypoints podcast, and this one is a little bit of a special one as well. It's still a continuation of the stuff that came out of the Dakar Rally. There's still a few things, few interviews and footage to kind of get out and get going for you guys to check it out. But today's is a special one. Kyra of West by 1000. I had a chance to sit down and speak with Manuel Medina, one of the team managers over at Kove for the Dakar Rally, working directly with the team and working directly with the bikes and getting them ready. And so really interesting conversation. It was really cool to find out a little bit of background. And I mean, one of the most impressive things, and you guys are going to see it here in just a minute in the interview, is Manuel is actually really young. He's only about 19 years of age, and he is doing this. And you can tell that there's a little bit of that background, a little bit of that knowledge that's above his, I don't want to say above his age, but you can tell that he's got some stuff together and working it. So it was really, really cool to see it. Again, a fresh team, the Kove, 3 years into the Dakar Rally, making statements. First year, nobody knew who they were. The second year, people started watching, and now this third year, even more people watching. And with the expansion of the team and now offering customer rides. So one of the largest manufacturer representations at the rally this year at the 2025 Dakar Rally. So it was really cool to hear the conversation with them and see the conversation. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. I hope you guys enjoy. And then don't forget, if you enjoyed the conversation, hit that like, share, subscribe button and all of that stuff. And we'll see you for the next episode. Here's the interview. All right. So future Victor here. Before we get into this interview, the Dakar is a very loud place, and it is very hard to compete with a lot of the different things going on, generators and background noise and interviews and stuff like going on. So just as a FYI, we're using Riverside.fm to basically edit and do all of this stuff, but they have a neat feature that helps reduce that stuff. It's like a magic audio feature. It does reduce that background noise, almost eliminates it completely, as you guys are going to hear here in just a few minutes, but it's not perfect. It does have a little bit of some ghosting and some different things in the audio, but it's pretty worth it. It cleans it up so well, and it makes it a little bit easier for everybody to hear and understand what they are saying. So there's been a few comments made on the channel. I've been using it for a little bit, again, using it to clean up interviews and things like that, just strictly to get rid of some of that background noise and to really allow the presenter and the person being interviewed to actually get their voice across and hear the message a little bit clearer. But, okay, that's enough of Future Victor. Let's get to the interview.
With Manuel, also affectionately known as Manu, and he is the
Super Soon Kove team manager and logistics.
Great. And you're from Spain, right?
Yep, so
Yes.
Spain.
That's, and so, how did you get into this sport? What's your background? How are you involved in racing? And what essentially led you to Denmark?
Since I was very young, I always used to watch it on TV and watch these guys ride around in my hometown. And that's the thing I always liked since I was young. Maybe I started doing some local rallies, helping these guys there, getting up to here to the big one, to Dakar.
Now, people wouldn't realize this. People think that this is an incredibly long journey, right? And the truth is, you're quite young, all things considered. You said 19.
Yep.
And when did you really start working in this? How long have you been doing it?
So I'd say maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I started working properly in some rallies as organizer or helping other riders like Mason Clay in other rallies in Morocco. And then, yes, our paths crossed with Kove, and they offered me this opportunity. So I didn't think about it twice. I just head down here, and here we are. Yep.
And to me, it's already super difficult to do when you've been in this industry for a long time and when you're old like me. So, how does someone who can, earn the respect that they need to be considered for such a big job?
Yeah. Well, for the respect, you gotta earn it yourself. You show yourself you're valuable and you're productive to be of their own. You'll get the respect by itself. I think it's just working it off yourself.
Yeah, that's true. So many senses.
Yeah.
And okay, so you yourself, do you ride, do you race, drive? What do you do for your own passion?
Sure, I think all the guys around here, if you're here in Dakar, is because you like it. Because otherwise, there's no possible way of surviving this if you don't like it. But yeah, I ride amateur, like weekend rides and chill rides. But yeah,
Dirt, everything. What do you ride?
now mostly off road, Baja, Rally, and yeah, some Euro. Mostly off road.
Yeah. Well, now that you're at Kove, you know the influence of, and you also understand what went to the bike production. Let's talk about building a Dakar-spec bike and what do you have to consider when you're outfitting it to ride something as punished as Dakar.
You gotta take a lot of things into account. You gotta make a bike that survives the whole 7,000 kilometers we can do throughout a whole Dakar. A lot of hours on the bike. They go through all kind of terrains, rocks, sand, cold, hot weather. You gotta make it for everything, and also to last at least 200 kilometers with fuel range. So you gotta feed at least 30 liters of fuel. So you have to take a lot of things into account. And also the level is pretty high. You've got all these other European and Japanese brands that you gotta get to that level. And Kove is really working hard on getting to that level and just not getting to it, overpassing the levels. And a lot of hours are being put and working from factory. Everybody is working really hard.
Yeah. And so, are there any specific components that you use, let's say, that would differ from commercial bikes?
On Kove right now, with the 450 rallies, we've got 450 Rally Gen 1 and the new one that we are testing in Dakar, which is the 450 Rally EX. So there's quite a big difference between those two bikes. We've got the Gen 1, which is more kind of the entry-level bike, a bike that will get through everything. That's perfect bike for the everyday rider and for the guys that just want to enjoy the riding out there in the desert or in the mountains. And then you've got the EX model, which is a proper Dakar winner bike. That bike has proven that can be on the top positions. So it's a different bike, a bike with more horsepower, bike that needs more maintenance, a bike that will get you to win the Dakar. The other bike is for a weekend ride bike that will get you through everything with no maintenance at all. Last year, we had one Italian guy racing the unsupported class, the Malemoto, and during the whole 9,000 kilometers and the 14 racing days, he changed his oil only twice. So it proved how he's, a proper Dakar machine that maybe you won't win Dakar with it, but you will reach the finish for sure.
So it's a great bike for privateers. Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's the bike for the privateers.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, okay, you guys have been developing this new bike, the EX. Have you already been able to take the data that you've been using at Dakar and in train and start sending it to the production team for the commercial for the collector?
Sure. Well, every day you collect data. Even if the bike is done and in production, you can always improve. There's always room for improvement. The factory racing department was in Barcelona, in Spain. And every time we go test or we go anywhere, we take pictures of everything. Picture and data, obviously, of everything. And we send it straight to factories. And also here at Dakar, everything that we see, we just take picture, we write it down, we do the full analysis, and send it all to factory in China. And we start working hard on it. A huge improvement is being made in the past 3 years we've been in Dakar. And we're working really hard to reaching our goal, which is getting the performance.
Okay. Yeah. And then, what do you think makes, the loyalists out there who love the Honda, they love the KTM, whatever it is. What do you think makes the Kove different than those bikes or surpasses them in that sense?
Well, for sure, I can talk to you about all these numbers of specs and everything, but I think the main point, the point the normal or every customer will take into account is the price. The Kove 450 Gen 1 price is at $10,000. The EX model is at $19,000. If you go to other European brands or whatever, it's more than double the price. So in the end, it's a bike that does the job more than enough, and in the end, it's half the price. We've got all these prices, and it's already a very expensive sport. So from Kove to put that prices on the bikes just helps the riders to get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of which, I mean, you talked a little bit about the Gen 1, you talked about the EX. Let's say, what does maintenance look like every day? So, you said that obviously at a performance level or a professional level, bike like the EX takes a little bit of work. What do you think you guys are doing every day to make sure that you get maintenance done for that bike versus the Gen 1?
For sure, they always go through a very specific checklist that all the mechanics must tick to every box, and things like the basics, oil, we check the coolant level and so. But for every day, we check parts like, I can tell you for sure, but all the torque specs, we go through every bolt. So usually the air filter is the basic maintenance. There's not really this thing that you say, oh, we go through it every day. Maybe it's, mainly maintenance. Then factory level, talking with Mason Clean, I'd say, maybe we do a clutch every 3 days. But spares like normally they wear the level these guys have. But for a normal rider, we have these guys in Palemoto, so racing with the EX, they do a quick run over on the bike, oil change, pads, but not that much.
Yeah, that's surprising. I mean, for a lot of people, especially who don't have a giant factory team behind them and all these mechanics, it's nice to know that there's a bike out there that is approachable in price. It rides well out in the desert or any condition, and it's easy to maintain.
For sure.
Yeah.
Also now this year at Dakar, Kove introduced this clients help that they show up with a Kove, and any spare part they will need, Kove will provide for them. So maybe let's say you break your chain guide.
Yeah.
Kove is here for you. They will hand you the spare part.
Awesome.
Any kind.
Awesome.
Headlights, fairing, whatever you could possibly need, Kove has it for you here.
Very unique. Yeah, that's great. And so have you gotten any feedback so far from the riders who've been, the first week? And clearly they all have their own issues and other successes. So what have you heard back, guys, or privateers?
We've heard from all kinds of voices and languages, and the one thing everyone agreed with is how well the bike manages. Its weight distribution and its power is incredible. Everyone is loving it, through rocks, through dunes, everywhere. They had some kind of problems you can have in any race, like crashes, you break a handguard, you maybe pinch a fuel tank, but all this was fixed, and they were just loving it, loving every moment of it.
That's great. And so have you gotten any feedback from anyone, either your audience or maybe even other people in the big web?
Yeah, well, everybody, first we have had 3 years of Kove at Dakar. First year, everybody really didn't pay attention. They thought just some Chinese guys showing up with the bike, no big deal. But now they're really putting the bike out there. This year, we are the second biggest manufacturer at Dakar, 12 bikes on the grid.
Yeah.
And right now on race day, we are 12 out of 12. 12 bikes started, 12 bikes are running right now. And still, everyone now is really paying attention to us. We are proving we can be fast on top and also reliable for the everyday rider. And everyone is really paying attention to us. Interesting.
And, obviously we've talked about how sometimes, haters are going to be out there. And, I feel like a lot of people who have badmouthed the brand in the past have maybe changed their mind a little bit. What would you tell someone who initially has a bad opinion or has something negative to say about the brand bikes?
Well, first of all, the haters gonna hate. That's the thing. So, no, but taking those kind of people apart, we have proved ourselves. The 3rd year already, we have proved how we work, how reliable we are. And there's always this stigma with the Chinese bikes, but we have proved the Chinese bike is here to stay.
Yeah.
And it's here to work out. And yeah, it's really holding up, and it's
I agree. I think that, it's all about doing, you can say all the things that you want to do, but really showing people what is good and what you're capable of is always the best action.
sure.
Yeah. And so do you guys plan to take the bike to any other races this year, or is it just a big prep for the next Dakar?
No, sure, we work throughout the whole year. Dakar is the main goal, but we've got 11 months left on the calendar, so we just keep doing other Spanish national races, some other from the W2 CRRC Championship, and a lot of testing in Morocco, in Spain, in China, all day long testing and just improving and riding the bike, just putting hours and hours into it.
What's going to be the next one, or let's start with what's the next race that you guys are going to do after that?
Cannot tell you for sure right now because we are hiding some of them, so it's going to be a big surprise in the upcoming months. Yeah. But yeah, for now we will do mainly also Rally Maroc, Baja Aragon in Spain, Teruel, some other Chinese races. Yeah, we've got the whole calendar, we've got it covered.
Good. Let's hear that you guys are like really out there, really pushing. I don't think everybody knows that Kove is really going 100% into his sport, and it's nice to know that we might be able to see guys in other places when you went out.
Sure.
Yeah, and so let's say of the races that you can talk about, what are the ones that you need to prep for the most? What are the biggest, most important ones to cope?
It's, for example, talking Baja Aragon in Spain, is a whole different thing to Dakar. First of all, you don't have the road book. It's all on GPS, and it's all on closed course. So all the corners and everything is closed. So it's more like Baja 1000 style, I'll say. Full flat out and it's just 2-day race with a total of 400 kilometers. So it's, compared to Dakar, it's quite different. But in the end, all the races we do, or Rally to Morocco or all the other, are just mainly focused on the big one, which is Dakar. Dakar finishes on the 20th of January.
Yeah.
But the preparation for next Dakar starts on the 21st.
Yeah.
So you don't really ever stop. So we just keep working and working and working for the Dakar, which is the big one. But yeah, you've got also Rally to Morocco, which everyone takes it as a last Dakar shakedown.
Yeah.
A Dakar fest of personnel, of bike, of everything. So yeah.
That's great. Okay. I mean, I want to ask a few more questions to try and think about what races are there. But to spare you that, I feel like what's the biggest, the most challenging terrain that you guys tried to train for and test in before you get to something like that, right?
Well, in the end, I think the most demanding terrain of all is the dunes. We have here the MC Quarter, which is crazy for terms of the bike. It destroys it. But it's the weather you get, the hot temperatures, all the time the bike revving up, breaking down. So I think the most demanding terrain we can get across any kind of races.
And because we're coming up on the dunes, the really big one, big days, what do you do to prepare for that? You know that there's the possibility of overheating and really wearing out a lot of the components. How does the team make sure that the bikes are ready for that?
Great question. I think you are never ready for Dakar or for the dunes, let's say. But yeah, you can at least expect what you're going to find. So yeah, we do all kind of testing in the dunes to prepare for the kind of temperatures. We do different suspension settings, all kinds of different settings to get ready for it.
And is that like each day, that's not just ahead of the race. That's like, okay, we go from Alula and Hail and we go south. Are you making those changes before?
Sure, yeah. Well, obviously everything gets prepared before Dakar. But once we know the route and the kind of terrain and stage description we have, we sit down and say, okay, this day is going to be mostly rocks, but then the next day is going to be fully sand. Maybe if it's a marathon stage and we don't have service, we find something in between. But if it's either fully one or fully the other and we have service in between, we just, do different setup, different gearing, different suspension setup. We kind of change the whole bike. It's whole different terrain. We've got this past the stage 5 and 4, which were fully of rocks, So we have different suspension. Now we go to the dunes, whole different thing. So yeah, we just gotta really take into mind and into account what we are going to encounter. And that is made always before Dakar.
Who's making that plan? Who makes the call as to what is going to be the settings for the suspension and the components? Who's the one saying, okay, this day is when we're going to change things, and this day we're going to make do with what we have?
We are a team, and this is not a one guy thing. So we'll sit down with technicians, with engineers, the riders also, obviously, because those guys are the ones that are going to be riding it. So yeah, me, for example, I prepare the stage description and what we are going to fight. So we sit down all together with engineers. We say, okay, so this day, say the last stages we have, stage 4 and 5 with the marathon. We sit down and say, okay, this is going to be mostly rocks, very stiff. We also check the organization gives you some kind of timings. So we check the average speed. If we have a pretty high average speed, we know it's going to be a fast one. So if it's a fast one, it's not really going to be that tricky or technical. If it's a lower average speed, we know it's going to be much more slower and technical. So we can tell it's going to be quite more demanding. So yeah, we sit down and we say, okay, this stage has a average speed of 70 per hour. Okay, so it's going to be a narrow, some parts narrow, tricky ones. So we sit down and yeah, we just get to kind of range of things we gotta change. And just also day by day, the feeling of the rider. Maybe if we had in mind one setting, and he arrives at the bivouac and says, I was not comfortable with this. I remember we tested this other thing, so we will go back to that one. We are always here and there trying to find what's best for the rider.
Yeah, yeah. And so the privateers, all those guys kind of have their own team or themselves working on their bikes. Do they ever ask you for advice about what to do with the bikes for prep?
Sure, and we are the first one there to tell them anything you need. We are here for you. To all the riders before Dakar, we had kind of a meeting too, and we sent them all the information they could find, the stages, the kilometers and everything. Yeah, just give them some advice. Let them know they are not on their own, even if they've got Malemoto or they are with a different team. We thought that we are always here for you. We've got Chinese personnel dedicated only for the riders. So maybe if they have some bigger issues, we are there for them to help them with anything they need. Just day by day. We made a quick checkup every day around the bivouac. How was it? Are you okay? Is there anything you need? Next day is going to be like this. Are you ready for this? Bring this, bring that.
Well-rounded than a lot of people think. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Not there a lot.
The end is 12 riders. We are a small group, small family. So we all stay together to help each other. And our improvement is good for them. Their improvement is good for us.